Here we are in sunny Aberdeenshire at the lovely Compass Rose studio, a collaboration between me and my husband.
This looks very interesting. Jed?
This is all recycled timber, recycled charts, recycled maps, recycled bottles, recycled stamps, recycled metal, all stuff that would end up in a skip, but it's all being recycled and made into beautiful things by me.
Jed, you're naturally a man that likes to use his hands and be creative. How has that helped you over this lockdown period?
Oh, it's helped me immensely. It's great, like I say, because you've got the time to do it, but everyone can be creative. This isn't like having to be a master joiner to do work like this. It's just ideas. The only thing that's mine is the ideas. All the things simple enough to make. It's just getting those ideas. Everybody's got those ideas. It's just a case of putting the phone down, putting the laptop down and having a look in front of them instead of just looking on the phone. There's lots of things to do, to make. It's just being creative. Everybody's got creative instincts in them. It could be anything. It could be from photography, from painting, to woodwork, to pottery. It could be anything. But you've got to give it a go. You've got to no good thing, I can't do that. You've got to believe that you can do it.
Jed, this isn't just about Compass Rose, is it? It's about other things.
It's about sustainability. It's about getting the environment back to what it was. That's why I've created this garden over many years. It's to bring the wildlife back into the garden with the pond, the bug house, the bird boxes, everything, just getting wildlife back in here and getting it looking in beautiful the way it was before we came here, which I think we've managed to do.
It didn't happen overnight, did it, Jed?
No, it's took many years of hard work, but it pays off in the end.
When I used to work at the mill, one of the main things that we used to focus on was promoting the colours of Scotland. We were all about the colours of Scotland, and just everywhere around where I work, here out at Compass Rose Studio, the colours are just there. It's just amazing, and that's so inspirational. The tweeds, I've got all the colours that you could think of, but it's so important, colour. You know, there's lots of tweeds that are a bit dull and people say, oh, tweed is very dull, but no, tweed's beautiful. The colours are just amazing, and I just love working with the colours. Couldn't have picked a better day, really, otherwise.
Well, being a firm coin, I recognise this building. It's the old Charmer, Ruth, and it just goes past and hand in hand with our environment.
So this is my environment and where I get my inspiration. We have the more manicured bit in the garden with lots of colours, but there's also the more rustic part of it down here by the Charmer with all these beautiful colours. I love purple and grey.
And amongst the colour, this is
it.
This is partly where you get your inspiration from, isn't it, Ruth?
Yes, in amongst the colour. Okay, so Compass Rose Studio, how did it come about? Well, we moved here from Somerset 20 years ago when I started to work at Kirkburn Mills for Alexander's, which was the woven cloth part. When I was working there, there was lots of fabric that was being discarded, and I thought, oh, I like that. And I've always sewn, so I thought, what can I do with it? So I started out just making gifts for friends, you know, bags, cushions, all sorts of things out of the tweed, because the tweed was just so beautiful. And then from there, I thought, oh, I could maybe join some craft groups, get some more things that I can make, and that's how it progressed. So over a period of time, I just started making more cushions, bags, all sorts of things, just to use the tweed, and I think just to promote it as well, because so many people say to you, is it Harris tweed? And you're like, no, Harris tweed is completely different. This is tweed that is basically all about the colours of Scotland, and that's what it was all about. And the colours are just so vibrant, and I just love them so much that I thought, I don't want those to be thrown away. I want to make something with them. So that's what I started to do.
remnants of Peterhead Woollen Mill. You've got the remnants there, Ruth, in your hand. Ruth, you've got these lovely remnants of Tweed there. Could you tell us a wee bit of background of, you know, the story, the woolen mill story of Peterhead?
Well, the mill in Peterhead was a very old mill, but it always used to fascinate me that a lot of people didn't know there was a mill in Peterhead. In fact, a lot of people don't know there was a strong tradition of mills in this area altogether. So when I first started in textiles, there must have been about 6 maybe in this area, and now there's maybe 1 or 2. And it's really sad because the Tweeds were fantastic, they were world renowned, but it was funny that the local people didn't know anything about it. I used to say, oh, I get the Tweed from the mill in Peterhead where I'm the designer, and they go, what mill's that? And I'd say, that big one on the corner as you come into Peterhead. Oh, is that a mill? They'd say, and I'm like, yeah. And how long's that been there? Oh, about 200 years. So it's really funny that local people are not always aware of what's around them and what great heritage we have and how fun, you know, I mean, they sold the cloth all over the world, you know, to really famous designers like Hugo Boss, in America Coach, Ralph Lauren, all these people that you'll have heard of. But did you know that that was where this tweed, woven in Peterhead, ended up? I think it's really important for everybody and for me to be able to be creative, because when the mill closed, that was my creative outlet gone. I could have moved, I could have gone to live somewhere else. I did hear about a job on Harris to work for Harris Tweed, but we love living here and I didn't want to go away from here. We'd moved so much for textiles. So I had to find something creative to do in my spare time, and this is what I did. And a few years ago I was lucky enough to be chair of North East Open Studios, and that inspired me even more to challenge my creativity and think about new things that I could do and move on to the next level. Because I didn't just want to be about sewing tweed and making cushions, because although that's really great, lots of people can do it. Mine, I like to think, are a little bit different, but everybody thinks that. So this idea of combining the Celtic knotwork with the tweed is tapping into 2 things that I really like. And I love the geometry of the Celtic knotwork and doing the pen and ink drawings. I can be really content in that, and I've been playing around with that, making cards, special drawings for people, all sorts of things, just playing with it. But essentially, I still love the tweed, and I would so like to get some more things designed.
Well, Ruth, I think you're going to tell me in a minute about your work that you did at Kirkburn Mill in Peterhead, and how you've taken the remnants of the cloth that was woven there and what you've done with it.
So when I worked at the mill, I worked as one of 3 designers. When I first went there, we were in this little hussy outside, which was freezing cold in the winter, but it was great. And we really had a kind of family, I would say, at the mill. You know, everybody knew each other. We got on really well. I used to find it strange when I used to go for tea break and they'd all be talking away and I wouldn't really understand much of what was going on or what they were saying, because a lot of it was slightly Doric, but I soon tuned into it. So I mean, my day was just designing the fabric. I also got to travel hugely, for which I'm grateful, because I got to go to some amazing places like Japan, which I would never have had a chance to go to otherwise. And it was really sad when the mill closed at its old location in Peterhead, and then it moved to Bodham, and it was there for a little while, but again, it closed there in 2011, which was really sad. And a sort of sad blow for Peterhead that it's not making that fantastic tweed anymore. So these are the scraps, what's left of Kirkburn Mills in Peterhead. And from that, I have to now try and sew all those little bits together and make new things from them. So it's gone, the mill in Peterhead, but there's still a remnant of it. And we're still using the tweed, and that's great, because then at least I can tell the story and say to people where it came from, about the mill, the heritage, and all the people who worked there, and what a great place it was. Sad it's gone.
Ruth, what you have created here in Compass Rose doesn't happen overnight. There is a process to go through before you get to this stage. Could you tell us the process or the route that you took, Ruth?
Okay.
So, how did you get here, Ruth?
Well, I started out by trying some craft fairs, joined some local groups, went along to the craft fairs. Some were good for me, some weren't, but as a result of going to them, I met a whole host of other creative people. They suggested other events that I could go to, other things that I can do. And of course, we've got the fabulous North East Open Studios, NEOS, which takes place in September. So I got involved in that. And as a result of being involved in that, I also got the introduction just in the last few months to Business Gateway, which has given me the opportunity to do some courses on how to promote myself further and take the business onwards into 2021 and beyond, and maybe make this my full-time occupation again, rather than a part-time occupation, but one that I love. So I found that through this pandemic and through just being creative and being out and about and trying to grow my business, it's all about networking, and it's all about finding people who have similar ideas to you, like-minded people, people who want to promote you, people who are positive about Aberdeenshire and the future. And that's how I got to meet Jill from Doric TV. Fortunately, she's been here today to chat with us and to talk about what we're doing here today in Aberdeenshire, and it's been fantastic. Okay, so Doric TV has come to me today. They're all about promoting everything fantastic and wonderful about Aberdeenshire, not just the Doric language. So if you are interested and you want to know more and see these videos live, then log on to www.dorictv.co.uk and see what Jill's all about. Sorry, that was a fly.
Documenting Aberdeenshire as we are today, the way it is, the way it will be, the future, Aberdeenshire. Doric TV, www.dorictv.co.uk. And by the way, that's for sale.